Diversification is a biological necessity. Over the course of studying processes of gene selection and evolution, biologists have come to agree that seemingly random mutations that introduce new traits into the population, are critical when adapting to a new environment. They are passed on so that the future generations can better survive. And a process that magically follows is, other species mutate and adapt to keep our ecosystems in check. That is how we ensure variety and balance within our nature. Today, I'll propose that diversity is no less crucial for the survival of the music industry. Like these seemingly random natural mutations that occur within our robust ecosystems, divergence in musical styles driven by human creativity is a non-negotiable necessity. Just as it is impossible for a homogeneous gene pool to survive over long stretches of time, homogeneity is a death sentence for the music industry. This issue is relevant now more than ever in the emergence of artificial intelligence and the rise of digital music. Perhaps you find yourself listening to your favorite streaming platform, or dare I would say radio station, and think, have I ever heard this before? Or this sounds quite familiar. These days, popular music may instill in the average listener a vague sense of familiarity. And that's because, by definition, that's what they're designed to do. Today, I'll show you how in 2024, we are facing an ever-increasing homogenization of popular music that is taking away the very source of life for both music and the arts, creativity. But as an average listener, you may think that there's nothing wrong with popular music. And of course, it is a matter of taste. Although popular music tracks sound eerily similar, that is what makes them catchy, and that's what makes them enjoyable. Also, popularity equates to recording labels and profits. However, by the end of this talk, I hope you will come to see what homogenization truly means from the producer's side of the music. The musicians, the composers, and the singer-songwriters whose crafts are imminently threatened by the increasing lack of demand for diversification. Creative expression and experimentation are crucial for the evolution of music. For example, the history of rock and roll has shown us breaking conformity is what leads to a creative explosion and a new revival of mundane classics. Although rock and roll was initially critiqued by the conservative American masses as raw and rebellious, its authenticity and unique energy was a veritable force that could not be stopped. It was a breakthrough that caught like wildfire, inspiring many burgeoning artists to join the revolution. Now, let's fast forward to the present day. With the advent of AI, we have entered into a one-way valve through which there may be no return, as these tools, these technologies, have evolved from mere tools to assist the creative process to instead become the creators themselves. In 2004, the release of GarageBand has shown us that we could synthesize individual sounds to create unique compositions. But in this program, we are the ones making conscious choices as creators. But with AI, however, humans input parameters, or terms we'd like created. And then AI music generators such as Ava, Ampere Music, and MuseNet select from a finite number of formulated structures to generate a piece of music that is, quote-unquote, new. And that's because, if you really think about it, this is really a deconstructed, and again, a reconstructed set of pre-existing musical pieces. DALL-E does the same thing for visual arts, with only a short sequence of prompts like synthwave sports car. you can have a quiet, cool artistic design within a matter of few seconds. But this, of course, is an illusion. What DALL-E is doing is that it's following the same type of formulaic Frankensteining, in other words, which I would like to call it a cobbling together of pieces. In fact, the development of these technologies is so advanced that they can mimic the so-called higher order thinking skills of humans. Machines that can conduct synthesis and creation have been a significant breakthrough, as those skills were previously considered exclusive to humans. Nevertheless, AI is challenging our egocentrism. It is forcing us to reconsider our highly coveted superiority of humanity. So, what will happen for both musicians and listeners when thousands of these similar creations are created within a matter of seconds, all without the reliance on human creativity? Nearly anyone in this auditorium can compose pieces of music using these AI tools. With Ava, you can have pieces of music that effectively embodies the style you wish to convey. First, let's start by selecting a genre of music you want to create. Ava offers a wide range of genres to choose from, including techno, electronica, old school rap, synthwave, and many more. And then, input the desired time length for your piece. In this stage, you can even decide to create up to 5 distinct variations at once. And with this information, surprisingly, Ava starts composing. Only after a few minutes, you can have pieces of music that are original, tailored to your own tastes. Because of their accessibility and efficiency, AI tools have become increasingly popular among musicians who are seeking to enhance their musical compositions. Many even seek out programs that will directly execute performance augmentation, such as balancing levels, adjusting the organization, and fixing the tone quality of certain instruments on software programs. And I'm confident that as these AI tools continue to evolve, its impact on the music industry is going to be considered nothing short of exponential. This raises serious questions about how frequently humans are going to engage in future compositions of music. As is true for many revolutionary technologies, AI has the potential to completely displace human composers who have spent years studying and perfecting their art. Human inputs in these previous scenarios have been limited up to mechanical rather than creative functions, tightening bolts and turning cranks, but in this case of AI, inputting parameters. Since the 20th century, theorists Adorno and Horkheimer have been openly critical about mass culture and its impact on the society. They warned of the dangers of conformity and how it leads to a culture that homogenizes taste and reduces artistic expression to a simple commodity. The rise of AI music reinvigorates these 20th century fears. Adorno and Horkheimer have coined the expression the illusion of choice, meaning that as consumers of music, we perceive as having a choice, when in reality, those choices available to us are so limited that at worst, they may be virtually non-existent. In the modern world, we have adapted to this phenomenon, meaning that we're being fooled to think that we're listening to new and unique music every time, when in reality, we're not. In a closed loop where nothing new can enter into the system, it is only a matter of time before in which flows within and through the system to become stale. We must open the valve to allow new ideas to flow into the system if we are to reinvigorate this whole system. I know this because I've been through it myself. As an amateur music composer since the 7th grade, I was composing music without even knowing that the note C is a do. However, my motivation to create music was extremely simple: to create music that my friends would enjoy. I started by using Soundtrap, which is a free online music producing software, and of course my first work was trash. But an important thing to note here is that I was proud of that trash. It was actually my trash. I still recall when I invited some of my friends to take a listen to probably one of the worst songs that I've ever created, and somehow they actually liked it. And their approval motivated me to keep going. And since then, musical composition has become a considerable part of my life. Then in 9th grade, I upgraded my software into Ableton Live. Ableton offered a whole new world for me. The mixers, the audio effects, the VSTs like compressors, the EQs, reverb, and all those things, and I was eager to explore it. I found myself spending countless hours experimenting with the diverse sounds on this program. But after a while, I hit a wall. I found myself stuck, unable to find inspiration to create anything that is new, different, or exciting. I was in an uninspired slump, existing within a closed loop. It was during this period of creative drought that I had an unexpected source of inspiration. While I was chilling out in the children's playground, which is right in front of my home, from a place that's not so far away, I heard a child mimicking gorilla noises by beating his chest and making that ooh, ooh, ooh kind of an ape sound. And of course at first, I thought to myself, how random is that? But after a while, I realized that unexpectedness, that randomness is exactly what I needed to introduce into my closed loop, my stale music. So then I instantaneously pulled my phone out and started recording the melody. Then without even having a clear plan on how to polish that raw sound, I rushed back home and fired up Ableton. After I've experimented with different ambient sounds, before I knew it, I've created a track that was unlike anything that I've ever heard of or produced before. And that felt like a breath of fresh air to eager lungs. Since then, I sought out unexpected sources of inspiration to create music. The sounds of the city we live in, the conversations of strangers, and even the clinking of glasses inside a crowded restaurant. They all offered endless possibilities. And I was once again excited to create music. Avoiding homogenization first starts by acknowledging the importance of creativity and originality. Neuroscientist June Gruber and her team found that creative inspiration is derived from both internal and external sources. In other words, we can find inspiration within ourselves, but also beyond ourselves. While AI can mimic human emotions based on external input of data, it cannot yet draw internal sources of inspiration to create something that is 100% unique. Remember, AI can only produce based on what the humans have already input into the system. Whereas the greatest artists take fullest advantage of their daily experiences, even mistakes, to fuel inspiration. For example, the concept of album scratching was first discovered by DJ Grand Wizard Theodore by accident. While he was practicing his DJing skills in his bedroom, his mother suddenly entered and scolded him to turn down the music. And urgent to do so, he moved the record back and forth on the turntable, accidentally, creating that first iconic album scratching sound. Wanting to capture and recreate such unique sound, he incorporated album scratches into his sets, and since then, album scratches has become a timeless and popular technique among hip-hop DJs. Such mindset to incorporate and adapt unexpected sources of inspiration is exactly what we need to keep in mind when we fall into a creative rut, or to open the loop. But then here you might ask, what can be done to open the loop? Here's some guidance for the artists, the sponsors, and the executives who are listening. This right here is a positive cycle of inspiration, which demonstrates a contagious nature of one idea sparking one another. Notice how the loop itself is open, allowing continuous flow of innovative ideas into, within, and out of the system. It functions by encouraging musicians to look beyond their mundane experiences to diversify their input, which will help to ultimately creatively infuse their output as well. By doing so, artists break the repetition that exists within popular genres and also inspires to diverge as well, thereby perpetuating the exponential cycles of inspiration. Another big thing I want to talk about today is market demand. Market demand is both a driver and an obstacle to innovation. Like all creatives who function within the demands of the industry, musicians often face challenges that are brought by chains of supply and demand. Big record labels and major studios tend to launch products that they're confident enough that the consumers are willing to buy. And at the same time, many new artists seek to earn a living rather than to take risks solely for artistic purposes. For artists to feel comfortable experimenting and expressing their individuality, the public must show that we value individuality and experimentation and work that potentially defies convention. First, we need to challenge the algorithms on streaming services. AIs think that they have our tastes figured out, and streaming services that utilize those AIs to earn profit are no different. This greatly restricts our exposure to new content, making it difficult for original, creative works to enter into our feed. To solve this problem, we can intentionally diversify our listening habits and actively seek out different music in order to fool an algorithm. This will help listeners to challenge their own musical tastes and also to open the loop, albeit succumbing to the algorithm. Next up, there are so many programs that encourage individual and small group artists who are striving to deliver authenticity. Even now, there are various projects aimed at helping indie musicians, such as the Seasoning Project that began during the COVID-19 pandemic. Its aim was to provide financial aid to musicians who lacked funding to produce professional music videos independently, and everyone who is interested in such creative projects are invited to take part through donations and even through artistic works like poster creating and also advertising processes as well. Melinda Gates, an American philanthropist who is consistently ranked among the most powerful women by Forbes, is known to have said, "We all want something to offer. This is how we belong. It's how I feel included. If we want to include everyone, we have to help everyone develop their talents and use our gifts for the good of the community." In this sense, inclusion means supporting talented individuals who are trying their best to deviate from the norms. Just as diversity in our gene pools and societies help us adapt to new environments, exposure to varied artists, styles, and genres can help reinvigorate creative landscapes. We must step into our power to shift demand so that industries now favor diversity. We need to open the doors that would otherwise remain closed hindering artists to join the revolution of inspiration. By valuing and creating spaces for true innovation, we can better ensure the vibrancy and evolution of music that would otherwise stagnate. Thank you.